Black Ops 4 was meant to follow in the footsteps of Black Ops 3, something that could be a game that lasts years and years on end. I mean, we had Black Ops 3 giving updates well into the content cycle of World War II even, which was just before the launch of Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was meant to go that extra mile, but recently it's confirmed that Dark Divide is the last content update for the game, which from an MP standpoint, if it didn't follow in the footsteps of Black Ops 3, makes some sense. Same thing goes then for Zombies. We don't normally see much outside of, again, that one rare time where we had Zombies Chronicles. Whether or not there's Zombies Chronicles 2 that happens, we don't know. But that stuff is sort of normal. Those game modes don't necessarily have the same longevity of other things that we've seen in the past, and the one that really surprised me, though, that doesn't seem to be living on, is Blackout. That had longevity to it. It was the first of its kind within Call of Duty, and personally, one thing that I think was executed rather well from the very beginning in a gameplay perspective. It took the standard BR model and made it its own as Call of Duty. There was no dedicated first-person BRs that went mainstream. PUBG, of course, had a first-person perspective mode, but it wasn't built for first-person perspective at its core. So it offered a unique and Call of Duty feel to the Battle Royale genre that we hadn't seen at the time, or at least in a mainstream capacity. Blackout also didn't require the player to have much prior knowledge. You didn't need a degree in architecture or structural engineering to build the Eiffel Tower anytime that somebody shot at you. Blackout didn't require the player to master any hero-based aspects like we see in the MP portion of the game and like the competitor Apex Legends requires. And Blackout also, for the most part, ran exceptionally well and smooth as opposed to the tactical counterpart of PUBG, which was rather unoptimized for some time, especially on console. Blackout was pretty much plug and play, save for perks which make overall a minimal effect on the skill gap in my opinion. Anyone could do well if they knew their map, knew their rotations, knew hot points, knew how to use their environment to their cover and advantage, and knew how to shoot straight. It was just about as core of a game as you could get. Combine that even playing field again, at least for the most part, with the addictive nature of always wanting to be that winner, and Blackout could have stood on its own, lasting years if I were to put a bet out there. If it released as the Call of Duty Battle Royale, free to play and has its own separate download and application, I think it could have lasted ages. But the recent statements from Treyarch and the rumors on the horizon looming around Modern Warfare point to this inevitably dying, being the one-off mode that Treyarch worked on to fill content space in that game Black Ops 4, rather than what it was. Something much bigger and honestly something special. While the preface of this here was rather long, I want to discuss the future of this mode, how much time it may have left, and what lies ahead for not only Battle Royale hopefuls, but also what it means for the longevity of what's to come. So here's the thing, nothing is confirmed, but there are many credible leaks. There's game files that suggest it. The Modern Warfare will have its own Battle Royale game mode coming later on, not at launch, but shortly thereafter in early 2020. As for when exactly, who knows, but it's something that game files point to assets for Battle Royale in the actual game code. We talked about recently how there was a leak in those game files that indicated multiple locations that are associated with BR in the game files, including Boneyard, Dam, Downtown, Fire Station, Medical, Gas Station, Alcohol, Gulag, Gun Store, Hospital, Layover, Lumber, Police Station, Quarry, Storage Town, Supercenter, Train Yard, and TV Station. So between that and sources talking about this actually coming, it's about the worst kept secret in a sense, where pretty much everybody knows about it, it just hasn't ever been officially confirmed just yet. But the other information to follow around this is that it's a big project. It's going to be coming again post-launch. Apparently it's going to be free to play, meaning that it's its own separate download, its own separate application that you can jump into, you can play, and you don't have to have anything to get in and play it. It'll support up to 150 players. It'll apparently be new and unique. Having multiple zones is one thing that has been going around there, as strange as that sounds. It'll have its own economy system, and apparently it's being developed by Raven so as to not take away from any development assets or manpower from Infinity Ward. So what you know and you like about Modern Warfare, don't worry, nothing's going to be changing here out of that because they're not even really working on it. So it'll be a complete project, and this might be the project that Blackout was supposed to be. Something that isn't just to fill an extra spot in that game where a campaign was lacking, but instead be its own standalone thing, where Blackout may have paved the road for a free-to-play standalone Battle Royale as the premier Call of Duty Battle Royale, for Modern Warfare to learn off of that, see what players like, do their own little iteration of it, and then launch it as their own separate thing. So with that, what does that mean for Blackout? Because if there's something else on the horizon, surely we're not going to see Blackout still get continued support, right? I mean, firstly, the big thing is that Treyarch is apparently already working on Call of Duty 2020. That hasn't been officially confirmed by Activision and the Call of Duty brand, but that's something that industry insiders and plenty of people who have the intel on that have already reported that as old news. So therefore, a lot of Treyarch has already moved on to the next project. They're already not focusing on Black Ops 4, and then when you add in something that's going to be completely marketed and take the limelight of a battle royale genre, well, Blackout really doesn't serve much a purpose anymore, which at its core is such a sad thing to say. I mean, Blackout in itself, if you think about it, is a miracle that it's even up and running to begin with. If any of the rumors prove remotely true that the mode was made in less than a year from launch, and everything that we see, and we'll talk about in just a second, everything that we see from that, for that only to last and be a sort of filler game mode as opposed to the full-fledged project, letting that die within a year is sad to say the least. It's almost like not letting that project live up to the full potential. Now, I'm not saying that Modern Warfare's Battle Royale, if it does happen, couldn't be worlds better, but just the sense that this had people for a time saying it would kill Fortnite, and yet it was locked behind a $60 paywall, and a year later probably isn't going to get much support outside of that. My mind immediately goes to that scene from The Other Guys, "I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly." Something so big, so ambitious, only to last a year, doesn't seem to do it service. Given the scale of the map, given the scale of the player counts, the scale of all the moving parts, personally, to me, it's just wild to think about that was a Call of Duty project. One associated with a brand that's traditionally just 6v6 and 9v9 of an experience and not containing many more assets than a singular building and a few lanes of sight for each map. Truthfully though, I'm really glad with how Blackout turned out. I'm glad it became a thing. From the initial rumor that it was only going to be a tower and a spawn-in sort of scenario, pushing everybody to a singular floor for that final zone in the middle somewhere, I think that Blackout as we know it now is far and better than the initial ideas, but I'm also thankful because for me, personally, I just wasn't a huge fan of MP this year. That's nobody's fault. I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't like it either. I just didn't enjoy it as much as previous years, so instead of having to feel like I absolutely had to go and get footage play MP, I had an enjoyable time playing Blackout with my friends and killing time. Battle Royale isn't everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. To me, I absolutely love it because I probably am a bit too competitive for my own liking, even at the things that I know that I'm not that great at. I'm that guy that always expects to win or thinks that I can win every time because that I know that I can be the best. Not necessarily that I am at any given time or that winning every single game is even remotely achievable, but that mentality of always wanting to do and be better, and then knowing what steps are needed to avoid the mistakes that I made that may have made me lose the last game, jumping back in and making sure I don't do that again. Whatever it is, Blackout clicked with me from the get-go. Again, not saying that you have to like it or love it. You could definitely dislike it, that's totally fine, but just from my anecdotal perspective, I loved it. Additionally, the thing that's kind of sad about the whole "I'm a peacock, you need to let me fly" type of thing and this only lasting about a year is that Blackout support throughout the year was arguably the most. It had multiple map updates, it had lighting and environment updates for the skyboxes and other aesthetics, a few POI updates or points of interest. We haven't seen any since Grand Heist. I would imagine though that's because of hardware limitations that they pushed the memory to the limit, and that also might explain why in Operation Apocalypse Z, some of the heavy fog modes didn't actually have glass in the windows. I get a feeling that's the case, but I don't know for sure to confirm that. But we also had vehicle updates where many things were added in. We had seasonal decor. We had a ton of LTMs added in that made for a ton of fun. One that I really wish they added that they never did, I don't think it was ever taken really seriously, but it was storyboarded and was something they talked about, was something I learned about at a pre-release event right before the launch of Black Ops 4, talking with some developers, is they had the idea for the Origin robots from Origins and Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 come in the Blackout map and walk across it like they did in the Zombies map. I think that would have been really cool, but I mean, you have things like Hot Pursuit, you have Alcatraz, all kinds of other cool things that are a ton of fun and great for enjoyment for the players. Even as of recently, Heavy Metal Heroes, looking at that color grade on the stream whenever they first debuted it, I was like, I don't really want to play Borderlands and Black Ops 4, but it's honestly a ton of fun. If you jump on and give it a chance, it's great. I just feel like Blackout captured so much fun for the player compared to a year that otherwise was kind of just shrouded in controversy, shrouded in maybe some falling shorts in areas, but Blackout to me was that beacon of hope throughout all of it. And personally, I thought from the very beginning, this would have gone free to play at some point. I mean, we're now less than a month away from the launch of Modern Warfare. Still hasn't. It's still behind that $60 paywall, or I guess probably like $40 if you find it used or something from GameStop. They'll probably sell it for $55 or something like that. Regardless, the death of Blackout may be imminent just because of what's on the horizon. Something so ambitious as this project may not live on, which is, again, I'm very excited for the next part, but also still kind of sad that it never really got its just dues. But anyways, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Wanted to have a casual conversation with you guys here on this Friday about Blackout and what the future may hold, if there's any future at all. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you guys think here of this? Do you think that Modern Warfare's Battle Royale, if it does happen, is something that completely phases out Blackout? Is it something that you think maybe the Modern Warfare Battle Royale isn't actually a thing, and maybe Blackout will finally go free to play at the end of the year and whenever Modern Warfare comes out? What do you think here? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, all things Black Ops 4 and Blackout, anything relating to Call of Duty, we got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. With those sent out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.